I took the easy way out rather than working on my marriage.
I rejected you because I was so fearful you would hurt me.
Sometimes I just get these doubts in my head.
We've both been feeling this tension.
Marriage is about tension and pressure. This is going to build your marriage like only an appropriate level of difficulty will.
God kind of held this land for us to grab a hold of. A little heaven on earth, for sure.
Everyone has a good attitude at couples camp.
People that are coming here to grow spiritually.
We're out of our comfort zone. We've got to lean into one another, and the marriage gets better in the process.
Old school, man in the wild.
Man, woman, wild.
How naked do we have to get before we can get fun? I was like, as naked as you want, just go have some fun.
If you don't want to have a challenging experience, couples camp isn't for you.
We've struggled with intimacy. I feel inadequate.
We were unfaithful to each other.
Wherever it is that I need to work on to make our marriage better and get that trust back, that's my job. That's my next step.
One of the more powerful things that we've seen happen at Crossroads or around Crossroads or with people who have dabbled in Crossroads over the last couple of years has been camps. We've got this property that we bought coming out of the I'm In campaign, and I'll tell you what, the amount of life transformation that we've seen in people who've gone off the grid, who've gone into the wilderness, or at least gone outside of their own air-conditioned house is really remarkable. So we're doing this series to give us all a sense of what happens at a camp and to see what happens when life gets changed. We're here at Crossroads because we want to see all of our lives change. We want to see all of our lives come to be the kind of life that works and the kind of life where God is in it and powerful. And we start this series off with couples camp. Now, you might not be married, you might never want to be married, but marriage is a huge metaphor in our relationship with God. And so no matter where you are relationally, this is something you're going to want to pay close attention to. And if you're married or about to get married, I just want to encourage you, this could be a huge defining moment in your marriage, in your life, in your future. So excited you're with us today, and I think you're going to get a lot out of seeing how God's working in these people, and I think you're going to feel God starting to work in you as well, just by watching their stories.
My name is Kimberly. My husband Gio and I are leaders of this group at Couples Camp. So anytime I lead a group, period, I get doubts like, what are you doing? You're not a leader. Those insecurities creep up a lot.
With our past, we've had some issues, drank a lot, partied a lot, and I thought we were moving forward, but I didn't realize that the amount of damage that I did to her still is carrying this far.
I hear this voice in my head, and it's like, don't give up on him. And I'm like, seriously? Don't give up on him? Like, what about me? You know, what about my feelings? How much more can I take of this?
Just come out and you're like,
We are the Bonillas, and we've been together 14 years, and we have 2 girls. We were born, raised in Puerto Rico, and then we moved here without any family, without any friends. She traveled a lot at the beginning, where we were seeing each other like every other weekend, and that's it. And it was way too many changes, and we just started growing apart.
We were unfaithful to each other. And it got to a point where it was like, we just professionally destroyed our marriage, and that's when we split. We split thinking, you know, we're done.
my favorite part of couples camp may be the walk-in. I like to post up and encourage people as they're walking in, or also known as heckle people as they walk in. And that walk-in is really important. It's a bonding, difficult journey for some couples.
Welcome at couples camp. I'm seeing people walking. I'm seeing them smiling. I'm seeing them clapping. I don't see anybody holding hands. Why aren't you holding hands? Hold your hand. That's it. That's what a good couple does. They hold hands. Well done.
There was a lot of men and women who were walking separate from one another, men leaving their wives behind, and some wives leaving their men behind. And a lot of us, we've not walked a mile with our spouse, like ever, let alone walking a mile to go on the beginning of a spiritual journey, which is what couples camp is. So that whole entrance thing of walking in together is really special for me.
It's going to be a hot couples camp. You'll be sweating. You will be moist. It will be a moist couples camp here in this heat. And you will have amazing fun in your tent one-on-one. It's going to be epic.
Hey, you don't very often see a roll of sausage with egg in it, do you? No, and chicken. It's delicious.
The heart behind couples camp came. Judd was like, "Hey, I know what we're gonna do for our 20th anniversary," and I was like, "Great, what are we doing? You know, like we're going to a beach. It's gonna be awesome." And he's like, "Yeah, right." He was like, "No, we're gonna go to the woods. We're gonna go out west. We're gonna go to the woods." I was like, "What? What? We're gonna camp? 8 days? Are you kidding me? In the woods with bears? Like what? What?" And he's like, "No, you're gonna love it." And so we did it, and it was a challenge, and it was hard. I mean, it was really hard, but I wouldn't change it for the world. I learned more about who I was as a woman and a wife, and who Judd was as a husband and a man.
She told me later that at that point in the trip, I don't know if I'd made her coffee with the little lid on it, because I get up earlier and make coffee, and I put the lid down, and it's sitting there. She gets up, and the coffee's ready for her. And she said she felt love more deeply, not loved, love more deeply than she'd ever felt it. And I thought, we have to share that. I mean, my gosh, if being out and stretching yourself and doing these things can let my wife of 20 years, she felt love more deeply, my love, the Father's love, like more deeply than ever before. Yeah, that's a no-brainer. We
gotta share it.
We need to share that, so that's what we're doing.
Man, it's so good when you're getting out with your husband or your wife. You're in an unusual environment. You're having to squat down places. You're having to stretch yourself. You're having to lean into each other. And our marriages went to a new place.
But the key is the right equipment. If you got the right pad.
And a husband will snuggle with you and make everything
Yeah,
good.
we have a bag that we both can fit in. It's like a double bag. It's cool.
Like maybe like around here. Does it sit right here?
Corner of the
This one's the big one. Okay. One not right.
We need help.
It's so far good.
There's a nice breeze out here.
Pull it.
We met the Bonillas, and they were like super great. I felt a strong connection to them because they were just like really honest, open people, you know, and everybody seems really, really nice.
And open and humble.
So what I haven't camped since I was like 12.
Really?
I'm actually like a 12-year-old in excitement right now. I'm really excited to have like a time out and unplug as parents.
Yes.
And be in college together.
Not good. Here's what I want to know. How many people, this is your first couples camp? Yes. Okay, now how many people got pregnant at the last couples camp? All right! In just a moment, I'm going to go over some rules that are good stuff for us to know, but I want us to camp out here for a moment. And let's just make sure we get something clear. There are no perfect marriages in here. No perfect marriages, none. And if yours is hurting, if yours is dragging, if yours isn't what you hoped for, if yours isn't what you thought you signed up for, if yours isn't the picture of whatever, you are in the right place. You are in the right place. So that's our starting point. It's our starting point, and I'm starting to identify some of the drag that's on our lives and on our marriages. You might even know what those are. We're gonna camp out on those over the next 48 hours or so. But this is a song that sort of forecasts what we're gonna feel in all of our marriages, but the chains are gonna drop.
I saw her and I couldn't think about anything else. And I'd say like, I'm gonna end up with that girl, I'm gonna marry her. And this was like literally the very first night that I met her.
This was like orientation week in college.
She said like, hey, I don't wanna see you again. You're creeping me out. Get out of here. And I said,
Wait, it was nicer than that.
right, in a nice way.
And in a very nice, gentle way, I said, go away.
Marriage been a roller coaster.
Yes,
It has been a complete journey, definitely. I mean, we hit rock bottom like 2007, 2008. Yeah. We had like affairs going on and both sides, and also the lack of respect for each other really at that point. And
Our marriage by all standards was just broken. I did not love him anymore. He did not love me anymore.
Had him in class.
You're here.
It was a running joke. But it was strange.
Good morning, sunshine. You?
So last night we hung out, got to know each other better, told little stories about how we met and understand why we're here and how we got here as married couples.
Cool group. I like my group so far, so good. So last night we were able to see the how many people were here under the tent when we were doing some worship, and there's like 1,000 people here. Like it was great. It was great to see all these married couples together. So we're kind of like recovering from from last night's sleep. It was okay, at least for me and my wife. We had a good air mattress that eventually deflated, but so we were asleep at that point, so it doesn't really matter.
We had some really, really good bacon, so we are all pretty pumped about that.
I think today it's going to be a breakthrough day. I'm really hoping for that.
Hoping to get to work, not only physically, but spiritually.
We have certain teaching times at couples camp. One thing that we want to regularly touch on is just re-ground people on what marriage is. Marriage is not glorified dating. It's not just best friends who have sex with one another every once in a while. Marriage is this really crazy spiritual thing where people complement each other with complementary parts, and they come together and they come as one, and God looks down and sees a man and a woman as one. That always has to be part of the couples camp experience. There's a spiritual force that's very smart, and he is strategically working to how he can pull you apart. This evil is out trying to hurt the greatest thing God has ever created, a marriage. I just want to call these things out as these are battlegrounds that the evil one is using to divide you. One is fidelity and faithfulness. He's going to use fidelity and faithfulness to tear you apart. And when one of you emotionally cheats on the other or physically cheats on the other, he's going to use that to say, aha, there it is. See? Divorce that person, get gone with that person. But man, I'll tell you what, I'm just thankful that when I cheat on God, he doesn't divorce me.
This is one of the battlegrounds that you're going to have. Another one is going to be the battleground of forgiveness. Man, this is the most important discipline for people who be one. Why? Because for God, this is his important discipline with us. He just continues to forgive us. It's beautiful. We're actually going to have time of solitude. We want you to have one-on-one time, you and God on this. You're going to be able to take your chair, hopefully find some shade someplace. It's going to be about an hour, maybe a bit less, and you're just going to be able to sit with your maker. Most of us have never spent an hour alone. Since the cell phone came along, we've never spent an hour alone. No device, no nothing, just you and God. So we want you to take advantage of this time and see what God does in you.
Solitude today was amazing. I've struggled to find more than 15 minutes alone. It was long overdue. It was intimidating at the beginning because it was one of those things that if I'm not practicing, I'm not sure where to start. But once I got going, it was very refreshing. God gave me this word that I'm still trying to figure out what it means. It's the whole thing of being worthy and being enough. And to be honest, I'm still trying to figure out what that means. Hopefully between now and tomorrow before we leave, where I'm able to kind of connect the dots on how that looks like. But that just came to me like there's something that we still need to work there. And between me and my wife, and I think it's something that I want to invest more time into understanding.
You know, I have a thing with control, and I found like a creek, like a hole, and I felt, you know, there's areas in my life where I feel like I'm in a hole. I'm literally in a hole. I'm writing stuff, and then through the trees, the sun just shines on me. Is it really shining here? Like, I can't believe that it's like just shining on me. And I just started crying at that point because he was showing his presence. It was a great moment with God.
So this morning started off pretty normal, and then we had solitude time. So that's when things turned interesting for me. Due to some issues we've had in the past, the trust issue always comes up. It's every once in a while just a little nagging in my ear, and I'll start to get some doubts in my head. And I heard loud and clear, like, trust him and be patient.
The moment we had together to talk a little bit after Solitude was a little bit of a shocker. With our past, we've had some issues. Drinking was a big story in our past. Yes, I drank a lot, partied a lot, and lost that trust.
I just needed to talk to him, and I kind of just explained to him, like, these old feelings about not trusting him come up, and he was kind of surprised to hear that because I don't think he knew that. I haven't shared that with him.
I've been working on it, and I thought things were getting better, but to hear that she's still struggling with a little bit of the trust, I didn't realize that the amount of damage that I did to her. Throughout
The time that we were married, he got in trouble a couple times with DUIs. And so when he was out drinking, he was also doing, I don't really know exactly the whole story, but I mean, he was not being faithful. And so the last DUI that he got was, I think, 3 years ago. And when I got the phone call, I was like, I'm done. I'm done. And so I was ready to, like, throw stuff on the lawn, you know, like I was mad. I was so mad. And I hear this voice in my head, and it's like, don't give up on him. And I'm like, seriously? Don't give up on him? Like, what about me? You know, what about my feelings? How much more can I take of this? You know, how much more do you expect me to take of this? And I kept hearing it over and over. Don't give up on him.
Let's build into this and figure out where can we get that trust back. And then she teared up. And so wherever it is that I need to work on to make our marriage better and get that trust back, that's my job. That's my next step for our marriage year.
We started a really good conversation, and I want to continue talking, you know, just through the trust issues.
When we cannot see just where the road will lead, we are empty, we are broken. When the enemy is strong,
you've worked out physically, you've worked out spiritually, you've worked out emotionally. That's what we do in our marriages. We prop up each other to help our spouse serve our God. We lift them up so that we together can do more than we could do individually. The best thing you do for the potency of your life is get married and stay married.
With things like couples retreats and things like that, it tends to be over-programmed, and that's not what this is. The fun of couples camp comes in the spontaneity, and that comes from the time and space that you get here. And so, like, for example, yesterday, this couple jumped in the pond and started swimming, and then all of a sudden, there were tons of people who jumped in the pond and started swimming, and they were splashing around and having a blast.
The best part was the couple that initially jumped in to the pond. They came up and said, okay, how naked do we have to get before we can get in the pond? I was like, as naked as you want. Just go have some fun. Just be with your spouse. But, you know, and they were like, great. So, I mean, it was, the fun of it is freedom for people and space for people. There's, you know, people taking hikes. The first couples camp, there was a couple, they didn't hardly know what to do with themselves because it's the first time, I think, in like 5 years, they had had a single time together. And they were just, I mean, lapping it up. It was beautiful. So, yeah, it was a lot of fun.
A significant part of couples camp is wine time. It's a forced date. Very few married couples have dates. Part of the reason why married couples don't go on dates like they did when they were dating is it's just more difficult. And then what we do to make it even easier is we supply you with a bottle of wine or a bottle of juice and discussion questions, a little booklet. Sometimes we go on a date and we're a little just intimidated. We're just gonna look at each other across the table. What are we gonna talk about? And we give guided questions for couples to talk about with hopefully what's a meaningful conversation that could affect their closeness.
I'm nervous. I mean, we have had dates there, so it's not something that like, oh my God, it's gonna be awesome because we haven't had a date in a while. But I wrote a letter to her and all that stuff, so I kind of want to share it with her, and I'm not sure what her reaction will be.
Is there something that you feel that you need to tell her that you haven't said in a while, like about her as a wife and a mother? And
now you're gonna make me cry. Yeah, I have an awesome wife, and it's one of those things that I can easily take for granted, and I will never like to have her feel like she's not enough, like she's not worthy. And if there are areas where I have made her feel that way or pressure her into that way, to really ask for forgiveness on those areas. A word that has come to mind that I kind of wanted to dive deep was on unworthiness. You know, I've been thinking a lot about during the last 2 days, and I think I pressure you a lot, and I pressure you into becoming this kind of woman that I don't think it's even realistic, and I don't even want, to be honest. And I think it's one of those things that I really struggle a lot with guilt because of that. Because I think I did have pressure you by wanting something that is not real, by wanting something that is not of him. I wanted to let you know that you are more than enough for me. That you're amazing. And I think my focus, instead of pressuring you, I think my focus is definitely going to shift into having a better relationship with God because of, I think that's the key thing, and not necessarily pressure you into becoming something that only he can meet.
It really means a lot because I think I just grew up insecure of people's love. And you know, like when we started, I didn't believe you. I rejected you. And I rejected you because I was so fearful you would hurt me. I still sometimes feel the same way. And I reject you and I push you away because I had doubts about how good of a woman I am. And it was shocking for me to realize that we're not really that different from when we begun. And there's still some of that debris kind of hurting me and hurting us.
As I said, lately, I am more in love with you than ever before. And you are an amazing woman. And please forgive me for sometimes pressuring you to be more of an unrealistic and selfish depiction of what a wife should be. So you are more than enough for me, and often a lot more than what I really deserve. I love you with all my heart, more than ever, and I'm so lucky and blessed to have you as my partner in this crazy life. You are perfect for me. I think we're perfect for each other. And is there something there's something physical you love about your wife? And I say, you know.
Oh, wow. My love, thank you for all that you have built into my life, for all the grace I have received. That gives me a glance of God's grace. And I believe He will continue to show His love and mercy through our marriage. You truly exemplify what the Bible says about how a husband should be. And it's time for me to do the same. And be your wife. And help you see a peek of what God has in store for you. I have been made a better person because I have you in my life. I love you. I am blessed. I'm lifted because of you. And on top, I get to enjoy the most beautiful man I've ever met. You're gorgeous. Faithfully in love. Me. Me.
I think you know that when you called that night and told me that you got arrested, that was when I wanted to give up. I didn't want to fight anymore. I didn't want to fight for our marriage anymore. It was so exhausting.
Thank you for sticking through it. On my side, when I did hit that rock bottom, and I started to show you that, look, I'm becoming a different person. Not having you, I guess the part I struggled with was not understanding why aren't you trusting me? You know, I'm finally changing. You still wouldn't trust anything I was doing. I couldn't go anywhere without you trusting me. And for me, I didn't understand why. I wanted to surrender. Just give up and say, you know, I'm doing everything I can and I'm not winning.
After hearing, you know, Brian talk about like the enemy keeps working against your marriage, like I don't think it's the last time it's gonna come up, you know what I mean? But it's like, I would love to say that, you know, it's just going to be 100% trust from here on out, and I do trust you. I do. But sometimes I just get these doubts in my head. And
yeah. And I think we're not mind readers. So if there is a trust issue, we gotta be open about what it is.
I guess I'm just afraid, like, to say anything because I try not to throw anything at your face. I don't want to keep bringing it up, so I keep it to myself because I don't want to hurt your feelings because it's not fair to keep reliving stuff. It's not fair.
Yeah.
It's not fair to you.
No, I see what you're saying, but it's also weighing you down.
I think it's coming up when I feel like there's a disconnect between us.
And there has been.
There has been. I know. And like sitting at home, it's like we can be in the same room and not even be having a conversation sometimes. I don't like that.
Why don't we make a next step that, you know, we use people to help us hold ourselves accountable to have date night.
Right.
And like I've said before, you know, we got to start putting ourselves priority and not the kids.
Right. And I think we got away from like spending time, like we need to make God a priority between you and I.
Yeah.
Our marriage is never going to be the way it's supposed to until we put God completely in the middle of it.
Yeah.
I miss going on dates with you.
Me too. I want to go to that fancy restaurant.
I don't even care where we go. I just want to do something.
Well, you said it had good food.
It does.
You know me and food. Can never go wrong.
All right.
Well, thank you for sharing that.
So I'm going to cry and read my letter to you. Thank you for always being there for me. I've become a much better person since meeting you. You've taught me kindness and how to treat people. You've made me step outside of my comfort zone and try new things. The thing I want you to know is that you're amazing. You're an amazing dad, husband, and provider. I think you look so hot when you wear that darn man cap hat. I love you so much, and I'm sorry for not trusting you like I should. You are amazing, and I am very blessed to be married to you. Love, Kimberly.
Thank you. You're welcome. I'm so grateful for the patience you have, for the love that you give and the support that you give me. When I'm struggling, you continue to support me. When I'm down, you bring me up. One thing I want you to hear is you're perfect. Don't ever doubt yourself. You're perfect just the way you are. And I love you with all my heart.
I know there's hundreds or thousands of things that we can do with our time, but I don't think very many of us spend our time in a way that could actually affect our future or affect somebody else's future. And that's what happens at couples camp. People make a decision that this is going to be important. This isn't about just the ceremony I went through way back when. This is about a relationship that's going to be ongoing, and I'm going to strategically put time into something that's going to stand the test of time.
All right, so a word came to me during Solitude time, which was this sense of unworthiness. And I'm like, wait a minute, I'm not feeling unworthy. I'm not feeling that. But it wasn't about me. It was about my wife. And I spent all day today just thinking about that. I think it's been kind of like grinding in my head. And I'm just so thankful that he showed up in that way, that he let me know what was that thing that I was still needed to ask for forgiveness for.
The crazy thing is that as I was doing my solitude time, one of the words that I wrote was unworthy. So I was writing about that, and he was receiving that at the same time.
One of the things that I struggled with was I was doing good finally. But what I didn't realize is I did years of damage.
Yeah.
And it really took me till today to, it's a long time, but it took me till today to really understand the amount of damage that I did.
It's still a battle, it is, but we made like a commitment that no matter what, we're working through this. Like, divorce is not an option.
Oh, it's hard. We need like 3 or 4 more campfires.
Yeah.
started walking around and getting a feel for what was going on, and people were waking up, and it was cool. It was cool to hear some of the stories.
My favorite story has to do with a couple that was out in the middle of a bunch of campsites, like just cussing each other out. Like, F you, F this, blah, 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 they're going at it. And then somehow they decided, maybe we need some prayer. So they went to the ministry tent, right? So they go into the prayer tent, the ministry tent, they get some prayer. And then they go out in the woods and they get busy. All right, so for any of you sad sacks that didn't go to the ministry tent, dudes, if you didn't get lucky, maybe you just need some more Jesus in your life. I mean, that's probably true even if without the sex, but that's it. So BT, it's time. Thanks, guys.
Couples camp is going to end here in about an hour or less, but the journey of being a couple doesn't end. And you're going to have the opportunity right now to pledge your allegiance to your spouse and to get remarried right now, to say the vows of your marriage right now. I'd like you all to stand up, please. I, Libby. I, Brian. Here we go. I, Brian. Take you, Libby.
Take you, Mireille.
To be my wife.
To be my wife.
To have and to hold.
To have and to hold.
From this day forward.
From this day forward.
Vested in me, I reaffirm and I pronounce you husband and wife forever. You may kiss the bride. You may kiss the bride.
I would just hope someone would be seeing what's been happening and say, you know what, I need to take a risk and try something different. Your marriage will affect generations long after you're gone, and I'm hoping people will take a risk on that kind of dream.